Okay, let's talk about it. What's up, ghouls and gals? Welcome back. This video is actually a long time in the making. Alex and I have watched and rewatched this series entirely 3 times since we've been together for almost 6 years. I've been wanting to do movie series breakdowns and rankings for a while, and this is going to be more or less just a quick ranking video because I want to let you know my thoughts on Final Destination and the series and where my thoughts lie with each movie. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, check out all of my links down below if you would like to see any more of me or support the channel any further. I will be talking about these from best to worst, and I just want to let you know a couple of things before I dive into this breakdown. Every synopsis is pretty much almost the exact same. You will notice that. And this is a series with, after thinking about it, after thinking and sitting with this and watching these movies so many times, as much as I may not like some of the later films, as much as cheesy as they are, I think that this series, every single film in this series is a solid 3.5 out of 5. I think they're all great. I think they are all fun. And while yes, I am tired of remakes and sequels, I do feel like there was a disservice. There was a rumor going around before Bloodlines came out that the 6th installment to Final Destination would be about first responders. And I think that would have been a far better premise. I think it would have been so relevant and so scary, but maybe too real for some. Every single Final Destination film is written by Jeffrey Reddick, and I have mentioned so many times how I think he is such a badass. There are so many Easter eggs throughout this series. I implore you guys to go back and watch from the beginning and notice how many times you see references to other legends and horror, things about other horror movies. Like you'll notice last names. Final Destination 2, we have Kimberly Corman, Roger Corman. You know, like there's things like that. There is often obvious signs to death in these movies, and if you watch it with, like, if you haven't paid attention before, you'll notice like signs that are off by 1 letter. So instead of saying trip, it'll say RIP and things like that. I just think they're so cool and so fun. But since it happens in like every movie, I figured I would just kind of mention that before we dive in. And my last little thing here is, if you guys like the Final Destination series and you want more like this, the kind of Rube Goldberg-y film, I really recommend The Monkey. I think it is such a fun film. Oz Perkins did a stupid fun, like, this is the kind of comedy horror where there is still horror prevalent, but you know, there's levity, and there are things that are also Easter eggy to other horror movies and other Stephen King properties. And I just think it is a really fun movie adjacent to Final Destination. Okay, let's get into it. First, obviously, my number 1 is Final Destination Part 1. It is the best, I think, in this series from 2000. After a teenager has a terrifying vision of him and his friends dying in a plane crash, he prevents the accident only to have death hunt them down one by one. And I've mentioned before that this was actually written as a spec script for an episode of The X-Files, and this was actually only supposed to exist as one singular episode of The X-Files. And I think it's cool that it got turned, like, it was such a grand, big idea that it was turned into a movie. And I think it's the main film you think about when you think about movies of fate versus free will. This is the movie with one of my favorite kills. One of the things I think I am most afraid of seeing visually is how quick something can happen, how quick death can take over. And it's the bathroom scene for me. It's the scene where, like, there's an accidental strangulation, but it's the quickness of how fast the eyes turn from white to red for me. It's visually seeing the struggle and that for me, like right there is the scariest part of the movie. The plane crash being second, because girl, I have never been on a plane. If I was meant to fly, I would already be in the sky I would have wings, you know, like I don't think I belong up there. But the magic of Final Destination is seeing how death can come from everyday objects and things that people use and do in their life every day, and it's scary. And we do get the opening premonition and all of that resolved in part 5. We'll get there, but I do think part 1 is my favorite in the entire series. Moving on to my second favorite in the series, Final Destination 3. From 2006, high school senior Wendy's premonition of a deadly roller coaster ride saves her life and a lucky few, but not from death itself, which seeks out those who escaped their fate. Now, the first entry and the third entry are both directed by James Wong, and I think that's why I like them so much. They are my favorite too. They have the same kind of energy. And by the third one, we are locked into the formula. We know what's going on. That roller coaster scene, it just really encapsulates the early 2000s vibes of being at a carnival, being at a fair, being with your friends. Like, I miss that vibe so much. It's something I like to rewatch just for the nostalgia factor alone. But I don't like roller coasters. The first time I ever went on a roller coaster was in 2010, and the last time I ever went on a roller coaster was in 2010, and I'm fine. I don't need any more of that. And every time I watch this movie, I am reminded that I'm fine being on the ground. But anyways, when I say formula, I mean the group surviving, kind of figuring out what's happening, how to intervene, and then death inevitably coming. And in this one, we get the iconic tanning bed, like absolutely cooked and fried scene. I've talked about it before, how that is another example of an inescapable death that I do not like. I had an interview for a job at a tanning salon. I was actually told that I was too pale to work there because I don't tan. Listen, I just needed a job. Anyways, when I saw, because I had never been in a tanning salon in real life up until that point. Now, this was like maybe 10 years ago. But seeing the tanning beds in real life, I was having flashbacks to this movie, and I thought to myself, I don't think I am cut out for this. But part 3 is an insanely rewatchable film. Now, in my third place, it's Final Destination 2 from 2003, when Kimberly has a violent premonition of a highway pileup. She blocks the freeway, keeping a few others meant to die safe. Or are they? The survivors mysteriously start dying, and it's up to Kimberly to stop it before she is next. I was 10 years old when this movie came out, and it was the first Final Destination movie that I ever remember seeing. And I'm saying that because I remember that log truck intro, that highway scene that made me afraid of being on the road. I don't drive. I'm like afraid of everything. Trust me, I'm not. Like, I go out, I work. Trust me, I'm fine. But it's just like I don't go on like the highway very often. And when you see a situation like when a truck gets too close, or when cars are stopping, I always think of this movie. I feel like this movie installed such a trauma in me at such a young age that like prevented me from even wanting to get my license, that prevented me from like, I am the backseat driver. I am so aware. I'm always watching. I'm always on guard in the car. But seeing the opening premonition in part 2, the logs coming off the back of that truck, I think that scarred a whole generation of people, my generation specifically. And like I said, this is the first Final Destination movie that I can like fully recall. But every time we watch it, I just don't look forward to watching it. I feel like it's the one I'm least looking forward to in the in the sequels rewatch. I just think Kimberly's kind of annoying. I said it. Let me know if you agree. And by the way, real logs were tested for that opening scene, by the way. They just didn't bounce enough. If that helps. It doesn't help me any. We also unfortunately see Clear Rivers from the first movie meet her demise in part 2. We will get more into that later on this week, if you know what I'm talking about. But let's move into my fourth pick. We're getting to my later end of this, but this is kind of where I find the newest Final Destinations, Bloodlines. I had so much fun with this movie. From 2025, plagued by a violent recurring nightmare, college student Stephanie heads home to track down the person who may be able to break the cycle and save her family from the grisly demise that inevitably awaits them all. At first, I really disliked this film. I don't know why. I just really didn't like it. I had fun with it though. I had fun. And thinking about it, I feel like the having fun part outweighs the not liking. The storyline to me just felt muddled, but when I think about other Final Destination films, are the storylines great? No. What was I really expecting? It was dumb fun. The opening premonition was really cool. The high rise, I was really happy to know that it was kind of done practically. At least they committed to building a set. It had some really memorable kills. The MRI machine, which I am always doing medical tests, being chronically ill. So that one made me more afraid than I needed to be. But also the garbage truck kill. That one is so cool. It was practically done. It was so awesome. The mechanism they built to take her head off, but not really. It was just really cool. I liked Final Destination Bloodlines. And I know I'm such a stickler for sequels, but this is a series I really don't mind seeing sequels from because it's just dumb fun. In fifth place, we have Final Destination 4, also known as The Final Destination, also known as the 3D Mess. From 2009, a horrifying premonition saves a young man and his friends from death during a racetrack accident, but a terrible fate awaits them nonetheless. Don't get me wrong, I find the racetrack sequence exhilarating. I do. I grew up watching NASCAR. I thought it was really fun. I also think one of the inescapable deaths in this movie is so scary when one of the characters gets sucked into a pool drain. I also cannot swim. There's a lot of things I'm exposing about myself, guys. I was just the weird kid growing up. Whatever. Anyways, this movie was just the 3D elements, it just felt overused. It felt out of place. I get it, but whatever. But it has great action. It has great gore. It makes up for the bad stuff. This is the only installment not to include Tony Todd. The rest of them do, even Bloodlines, before he passed away. But in the final place, in the final spot, I'm sure you can assume what's last. Final Destination 5, the story, the one that wraps up the original 5 movies. From 2011, death returns to claim the lucky survivors of a deadly bridge collapse. It's not great. It feels very soap opera. It feels very ABC early daytime TV show. It feels very, might I say, True Motion, if you know what I mean. However, the bridge sequence, my mother-in-law is so afraid of bridges and driving on bridges, and I think of her every time I see this because she has to cross a fairly large bridge to come and see us when she comes to visit us, and every time she is not looking forward to it. But this one does have a few notable kills. The gymnastics, the beam, don't like that. I obviously, you would expect, I have no balance in my body. But that, the scene is so wince-inducing, the gymnastics beam scene, because it just drags on for so long and you're like, when is she gonna do it? When is it gonna happen? And then we have the LASIK scene. And funny enough, the actress in that scene, her name is Jacqueline McInnes Wood. Shout out. She is from my hometown, Windsor, Ontario. Very cool. Very cool to see someone in a Final Destination film from where I'm from. But like I mentioned in the beginning of this does connect with the plane crash. The premonition, it all wraps around when the characters are all on the plane together from the first film, the last film. It all does a wrap around and we get there and it's over. And then Bloodlines just doesn't connect to any of that, but that's fine. It's totally fine. Because like in Jurassic Park, they say life finds a way. In Final Destination, death finds a way. And I guess that's a really good place to leave you. So let me know your personal ranking on Final Destination. Mine is 1, 3, 2, Bloodlines, 4, 5. I think that's fair. I think Bloodlines was actually better than the final 2 films in the original 5. Whatever, I had fun, and I will continue to have fun with the Final Destination series if there are more, because I actually, when I filmed my Paranormal Activity ranking video, I thought, okay, the whole series is done. Let me wrap it up. Let me rank the whole series. The whole thing is finished. And we're getting a new one. Make up your minds, studios. I'm sure we'll get another Final Destination, and I'll update you when we do. So, in saying that, I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you for watching. Leave your ranking down below. Sayonara, Spooky fam.